Colorless blender. I'm breaking all of my own rules with the colorless blender, and I'll take you all the way from pencil sketch to the finished piece, mostly in real time. This drawing is inspired by an original piece by Rico Dancel and some koi fish that I saw at a restaurant recently. So let's get into it.
It's color, it's color for Christy.
Okay, so I'm just going to do some basic lines. I'm going to do a sort of curvy triangle here, kind of like that. Fish. I want it to be a little bit bigger there. Then we're going to have like this. So we're kind of doing like an oval, and then a sort of triangle coming off, and then a flat end over here. Extend that out a little bit. And then we're going to do a little bit of a kind of an oval with some harder edges. That. This. We're going to kind of just blend out that fin. And then Rico's got two fish coming off here. So you can see the shadow of one. So I'm going to try and emulate that. Got one kind of coming out like this. Probably should have done this the different orientation, but that's okay. It's coming around like this. So we're doing the same thing again here. It's kind of like an oval, and we've got the triangle, curved triangle coming off, and then off the oval we've got a little, it's kind of like a bent square. I don't know what you'd call that. And then the mouth will be like, kind of like that. If you hear noises in the background, it's Georgie. He's playing with something. And this kind of goes off, fin goes off like that. And then he's got another little kind of oval thing going here. And then he's got, in his image, he's got 4, but I'm just going to do 3, I think. And I want to have one coming this way. So I'm veering off the path a little bit here. So this one's going to be coming out of the side here like this. Like that. And then I'm going to place the eyes too so I don't forget. Like there, I think. I'm guessing. And this one's kind of like here. Kind of more round than oval. Okay, so for this one, same thing. We did a little kind of like an oval shape here. And then it's sort of like a triangle tube coming off. And then just your little edge there. And then for the fins, it's kind of like an oval. Same on the side. Kind of like an oval that you're connecting. Like that. Hope that makes sense. But now that I have my sketch down, I want to take a really, really light color. Actually, if you put alcohol marker on top of the pencil, it'll be harder to get off, and you can get it off, but it just doesn't look as great. So I'm going to take the lightest gray that I have, and I'm going to just outline my pencil sketches. And then I'm going to erase my pencil lines. So I'm just doing a light I don't know, sketch over top of it. And I want that to kind of go off to the side too. So this one's not quite fat enough for me. So then I'll erase, just correcting my fins a little bit too while I'm at it. And then I'll erase my pencil lines. Just adding some little direction lines. Now I'm going to pick some colors, and I'm going to pick this one. It's a kind of a light orange. My Y2 Ohuhu. A bit of a red, and I'm going to use this fluorescent coral red, and you can see the cap is quite bright, but the actual swatch color is a nice red. I'm going to take this YR20, it's an Ohuhu color. Take my potato brown. I think these are actually from the skin tone set. Take an orange. I'm going to take this one Y4. This is Ohuhu as well. Also, I'm going to take this blue or this cool gray from my grayscale set. When you pick markers, I want to encourage you to use whatever you have. So don't think that you have to have Copics or you have to have Ohuhu. If you have just a cheap set of alcohol markers, like these ones are the cheap set, just use what you have and find the closest colors you can. I use a lot of colors when I sketch, but you can use whatever you want. You could probably just use like maybe a light and a dark orange. You don't need all of these colors. First thing I'm going to do is a little bit of outlining. I'm assuming the light is coming from the top. So I want to do a bit of just shading underneath with a light color. Pretty much because I'm not really sure where to start. So I'm just going to start there. So I'm just doing a very light color. And then this one I'm not going to do much because it's turned a different way. So I'll just do a little line like that. I grabbed a really light beige color. This one is brick beige, and I'm pretty sure I've put alcohol in this one a few times, so it's a little bit lighter. And I'm just adding kind of my first base layer. This is going to be messy, so we're not worried too much about it being perfect. So the original painting has orange splotch here on this fish. So I'm adding this and I'm feathering it outward. So feather it outward. And then there's a fin that comes up here that we'll add in later. But I'm just adding it so that this is the lightest color. And it comes around the fish, goes up its fin a little bit. Feathering it out. I'm going to add a little bit here too. So this spot right here is the mouth. And I'm just adding that color in there. So with alcohol markers, you always start with the lightest color. That's why it's fun to do watercolor projects, because you can kind of see how they built up the layers. I also grabbed this other beigeish color. It's like an orangey beige, buttercup yellow. And I'm going to go in as my secondary color here. I think with alcohol markers, something that I always forget is they're dark. Like, I always want to start with light colors, and they always seem a lot darker. So I pick my colors and then I go, oh, that's actually kind of dark and I need something lighter. So that's kind of what happened here. Hope that makes sense. And then I'm going to do a little bit of a kind of blotchy color here. It's going along the top of its head. Like that. This is my original color that I had chosen. And I think it was a little bit dark. So you can see it's a little bit darker than that color that I just chose. So as we're building up our layers, we want to be able to see the sort of fade in around the fish. Next, I'm going in with this Morin, which is, it actually looks like it's browner than it is. And I want a little bit of brown in this. And if you put light alcohol marker on top of dark, it sort of tries to kind of push the color around and erase it a little bit. So, but that's okay. Because I'm saying that because I'm probably going to go in with some of this again, some lighter color again after this. And it will probably fade out some of that color and it'll look kind of goofy at first, but we're doing a thing. So don't worry about it. We're going to make it look good. Because we jumped pretty dark here. And I'm kind of going all over the place because with watercolor it's kind of chaotic. And I want to sort of emulate kind of what we do with watercolor. Just adding in some little dots. And this is my orangey orange. So you're going to see this is probably going to push that color around a little bit. And I don't want to do it everywhere. I just want to have little areas where it's, you know, kind of picking up the orange a little bit more. So that's looking pretty good, I think. I'll do a couple dots there. Do the same thing with this yellow. I want to pick up some color in areas, but I don't want to like, I'm not going over all the same areas. Maybe they have a little spot of color there, here and there. That's yellowy. And maybe this fin is a little more yellow than that fin. So this one's a little chaotic, I think, but it's going to look interesting when we're done. This is my darkest color, and I don't want to do too much here. I just want to kind of go in with my couple little sections. It's darker than I expected, so I'm not all that happy with it being that dark. So we're not gonna do too much. And I'm gonna go right in with the red immediately. And you know what? I'm not a big fan of that red either. I think it's too dark. I'm trying to do this before it dries. So this is a natural lipstick. They make this in Ohuhu. This is a Copic, but they make an Ohuhu version as well. I'm just kind of spreading that color around. So I'm not really, I think this red is too red. So I'm going in with this lipstick natural. Here's the cap. And I'm just adding in some chaotic color here. I want to kind of drown out a little bit of that red too. And I'm going in on the fins. This, a little bit on this fin, but only in the center, and then maybe around the edge a little bit. And I want to add some like jagged spots to this fin. I don't want it to be like a perfect, fins are never perfect. And then I'm going to add kind of my fin scales too in this pink. It's kind of pink, it's like a brown pink. So far I'm liking this. I think it's turning out kind of the way I wanted it to. It's kind of a trust the process sort of thing. Can't really have expectations of what it's going to look like, especially when you're going off somebody else's color. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with this, my latest Ohuhu again. And I want to, he's got in his picture, he's got kind of like a darker area here around the eye. And it comes up like this around the fin. And then we've got some fin color. And you might see some of this color start fading a little bit after we put it on, because this is a really light color. So it might kind of try to push the color around a little. That's okay. Got something stuck. Let that dry for a second. Then I want to go here and add a little, I'm just adding some shades of color, some like little bits all over. So I'm going in again with the same color after it dried, just to layer it again around this eye, like that. And then adding kind of some pieces of fin there. And add some little dots. And then I want to add a little bit here too, like this. I don't normally say to put colorless blender over top of a color, but I want to blend this out. So when you put colorless blender over top of a color, it will bleach it out. So you can use it like an eraser. But I want to blend this, because this is on white and I want it to just be a very light color, I'm going to blend it a little bit. And I'm going to do a little bit on these edges, just to get a little bit of a watercolor feel. Same with here. So this is not how you blend alcohol markers. I'm just softening my edges a little bit. So if you're looking for blending, this is not the channel to learn blending. This is more of like I don't do the hard and fast alcohol marker rules. I just, whatever look I'm going for, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to take this darker blue-gray, or this is a cool gray, and I'm going to add this eye here. I made it a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to blend out a little bit here. So again, I'm going to use my colorless blender to blend that out, but that's not the way you do it. It's only because I know, like, I have an idea of how I want it to look. It's going to destroy, it basically destroys the color, but because we're going for a watercolor look, we're okay with that. So that's all I'm going to do for that. But now I want to do the fin. So he's got a fin right here. I'm going to use the chisel tip, and I'm going to go here and do my fin. And it kind of goes along the back like this. And then this is where I really liked the red that he was using along here. This is going to look bad before it looks good, by the way. And that's okay. We already know that. And I'm going to take this lipstick natural color, go in there, And then I'm taking my dark cool gray, and I'm going to go in and darken those lines a little bit. Kind of like this. And then we're going to do again what we did. I'm going to go at the base of them too and give them a bit of a definition there. We're going to take our colorless blender again and we're going to soften this edge. Because it's supposed to look a little bit like watercolor. So it's not quite there yet. I want to darken this a little bit. And it's actually a little bit darker there than I thought. So I'm going to take an even darker red. I'm going to take this, this is the cherry pink, and I'm going to add a little bit more red there. And then I'm going to blend this out a tiny bit because I don't have, he's got a ton of color right here and I think it looks really good. So I'm going to pull that color down a little bit. Take some of my yellow, that. And then some of this brown. Yeah, soften the edge again. So you can use your colorless blender to blend colors together, but you put the colorless blender down first. I just don't typically blend. I'm gonna go in with a really dark, this is a neutral gray, and I'm gonna define this eye a little bit. So I'm leaving a little white spot. I'll probably go in and add a little white dot as well. And then again, I'm going to go in with this blender to kind of blend my edges, just to soften it. So what it does is erases. So it sort of erases that edge. Okay, so these are the colors that I'm going to use for both of these two fish. But I'm going to do one fish at a time because it's tough to do two at the same time. So I'm just taking my lightest color. There's the cap if you want to see. It's R18. Oops. Pastel peach. And I'm going to lay out where my color is going to go. Feathering this little section here. And then this is looking interesting, but it's not going to look great until we do the background. So this is a trust the process. Anytime you do anything in watercolor, or actually any sort of art, it's really a trust the process kind of thing. So I'm just laying the foundation of where my color is going to actually be on this fish. And then I'm going to do some little feathering here. And then I want to go in and kind of just add some little highlights here and there. I do the fin. Do my little scales on the fin. I really like to lay out my colors from lightest to darkest. That way I don't forget what I'm doing. So I'm adding this, this is honey. That's the color. And I'm just going to go around this little mouth here, like this. And I want to have a sort of that blotchy alcohol marker feeling. So I might even take this, my lightest color, and blend out the edges. Just to like blow it. It's not even blending, it's more like a blowing out the edges. So I want that look of like sort of like a loose, like a non-sharp edge. And anytime you put a lighter color over a darker color, it's gonna kind of blow out the edges or make it blotchy. Normally you probably wouldn't want this, but that's the look I'm going for. So I'm adding some purple to this a little bit, and I'm going to take that first color again and blend it out with my brush tip. You can do this with your colorless blender too, but if you don't want to lose the first color that you put on, then I would definitely use your the lightest color that you just used. Sorry, I'm trying to do this while it's still wet, so I'm kind of talking and thinking at the same time, drawing and talking. So in the original image, there's some purple, and it's used for the fish, but it's also used for shadows. So I'm trying not to mix up those two things. So I'm going to keep my lightest color on hand because I really want to continue blending out that color. And then next I'm going to use this light orange. And this is just to kind of tie in this color. So I'm not going to do a ton. I'm just going to add a little bit of detail. Maybe over here a little bit. I've been neglecting this little fin too. Maybe just a little here, and then I'll blend it out. This is a really bright orange, so I don't really want it to be that bright either. And when I'm all done, it won't look that bright. Going back to my honey color because I totally neglected this fin over here. And I want to just blend this out a little bit. And I'm going to take my original light color that I'm using and blend it and blur it. That's the scary part because I'm going to be adding the darker colors. So I'm using this R1 Coral Pink, and I'm going to bring in, this is a lot, this is really bright. I'm always nervous when I'm adding dark colors because they're harder to fix. And I'm going to take my original color and blow out those edges again. I don't want to do too much of it. I might do a little over here because I got this purple, but I'm not really loving it yet. When I add the shadows, we'll add more purple. Maybe I'll go like a little down the fin, or down its back there a little bit. I'll add a little bit here. Okay, now I want to do something darker than this, to like a more of a reddish pink, to tie in those two colors. Keeping my light color handy again, and then we're going to do, this one doesn't have a brush tip. I'm doing this cherry pink, and I'm going to just, I kind of want to just do like maybe some edges like that, and then we'll blow out that color, and maybe it's just around the edge like this. Sorry, I'm so quiet. I'm concentrating. And add a little bit there. Just got marker all all over my finger. This video is gonna have a lot of bloopers. And then I might even, you know what, I might add some like splotchies like this and blow out that color. Yeah, I like how that's turning out. Okay, so now we're gonna do the same thing that we did with the eye here. We're gonna do it here. So I want to take my colorless blender, get it ready to go. And he's got kind of like, so that you can see this like shape of the eye, but it's just a shadow really. So I'm gonna blend that out. And then we've got this little mouth thing over here. It's really more of like here. And I'm going to blend this, the one I did previously out. And then he's got kind of like around the edge here, the shadow of the eyeball. That's going to dry. And then I can add my darker colors there. It only takes a couple seconds. So we're going to go in with our eye, or to finish the eye up. And I'm going to add a little dot right here. Okay, we'll keep working on this eye here. And when we're done, we'll add a little white dot. So I made this a little too big. So I'm probably going to blend that edge out a little bit. But I want to add a little bit here. Then kind of down like this. And then I will take my colorless blender, just blend that puppy up a little bit. Just like that. Yeah, I'm starting to like the way that looks. So then I have to do this fish, and then we'll do the background. We're gonna keep this one kind of simple. We're not gonna go too crazy with it. Not as detailed as these other ones. Just gonna go like this. And then blend out my edges. I'm gonna take my colorless blender. Just blend those edges out a little bit. Like that. I'm not gonna use as many colors in this one. I'm just going to kind of I'll cut some blotchies and then I'll fix it up with my blender. I'm going to do this one a little faster. And then I'll go on my edges like this. And I'm going to blend this edge out a little bit. I'm going to kind of not even blend the edges, but kind of just blotch it out. Like they're fish, so they don't have to look perfect, right? They all look kind of different. And then to tie in the colors, I am going to use a little bit of orange. Just a little highlight. And then for the fins, I'm going to keep it a little bit simple. I'm just going to use my pastel peach here. Just to keep it, you know, relatively easy. I've got markers everywhere. Add a little bit of this honey here. And then I'll take my pastel peach again and just blow out that color. Blend it out. That is basically blending, but I just don't do it. I don't do it like you're supposed to do it. I'm going to add my eyeballs. And I'm not going to bother adding a little dot because I'm going to do that after. And I think I made them a little too circular. I just made the edges a little pointier. Then I'm going to take some color here like this. It's going to look bad before it looks good. And oops, I want the. And I'm going to blend it out with my colorless blender. This one's getting kind of dry, I think. I think colorless blender is just alcohol. I don't think, because there's no pigment, I think it's just basically alcohol. There we go. And then I want to add a little bit, just a little shadow there. There, now I'm going to work on the background. Fishies are mostly done, but I do always go back in and kind of clean them up at the end. So we're going to do some background and have fun with that. And it's not going to be a full background, but we're going to do that and then we'll come back and clean up the fish. These are all the colors I'm going to be using for now. I might pick up some colors as I go, but this is what I'm working with. And again, I put them in order of lightest to darkest so that it's easier to work with. So I switched over to this B250. It's a little bit darker, but that's okay. Like I said, like I say in most of my videos, we try to work with what we have and we don't worry too much about it being perfect. So I'm just filling in, like blocking in around my fish. Try never to make the mistake of doing a full background because that is a big waste of ink. And we kind of want to blend out so that the fins kind of, like in the watercolor we're working from, the fins sort of just fade off into the background. So that's kind of what we're going for too. So I'm going to switch to another color. Switching to this green, it's a horizon green. Put the cap there so you can see the color. And I'm going to go in here. I might actually put the blue over top of this. So we're fading this off. I have no idea how this is going to turn out because I've never done this before. So we're just gonna have fun with it. So now I'm going back in and darkening up some of these colors. And I'm gonna add in some of that green kind of all over the place. And maybe over here. So I'm going to use this cloud blue. So this is another sort of teal kind of color. So what we want to do, and what we try to do in most of my art projects, or not we, what I try to do in most of my art projects, is give something dark that the fish, or that the main subject can contrast against. So you want your eye to be drawn, like we want the eye drawn here, so this area is going to be the darkest. And like under this fish is going to be quite dark. Just giving him some jagged edges there. Don't worry about if your edges are perfectly lined up. We're just doing lots of layers, so we have lots to work with. The more layers you have, the more, I don't know, cohesive it's. I'm going to add a little purple too. This is color I'm using. So I'm going to use this dark purple eggplant. And I'm adding my shadows under where these fish would be. Kind of like what would reflect on the seafloor, I guess. And then this one would be, have a bit of a shadow on this fish, so I'm adding that too. Kind of like you're looking down into the pond. Kind of like if you're looking down into the pond. Now's the part that's going to be a little bit counterintuitive to what I think what people normally do. Take my colorless blender, take a colorless blender, and I'm gonna smudge out a bunch of spots because I want this to look like water. So this might take a little bit of time to do. I might have to switch. I'm actually going to try something a little different. So I'm dipping the tip of my marker in alcohol. So I got some brushes here, and I'm going to grab a brush. I'm going to saturate quite a bit. See what that does. So I'm going to try something different too. I'm going to saturate super. See if I can try this. This is the B250 I'm using here. See, my issue with backgrounds is that they use so much marker. I don't like to waste marker. But I'm determined to make this look like something interesting, so just making those edges look jagged here. So I've gone in and with my brush tip, and I'm doing what I originally thought that I wouldn't do and covering most of the paper. Just because my plan didn't really work out the way I wanted it to, but that's okay. Everything's a test. I'm just going back in to darken this shadow down here. And I do think I'm going to take this color here and just blur out these edges a tiny bit. This pastel peach. Just to soften that edge a little. Okay, and now I'm going to just finish up a couple of the details, and then hopefully it'll look good when we're done. So what I'm doing now is what I had originally wanted to do when I was blurring out bits was in the original, he does this really neat technique with watercolor where he kind of washes out some of the color. And I kind of wanted to do that, have a similar effect, but I think it doesn't work the same. What I've learned, it doesn't work the same with alcohol marker. So if it does, I haven't learned how to do it yet. So I'm just going to do it with a darker color. So I'm just darkening areas here and there, just to give the water a little bit of dimension so that it has that sort of, I don't want to say blotchy, I don't know what the right word is, but like little areas that are darker than others. You know, like when you look at water, it's not all the same tone, right? There's little shadows and things like that everywhere. And then I'm just feathering it out. Until here. The tail is kind of translucent, so I'm just feathering it out. Same with the fin. Okay, now I'll add some final touches to the fish. I'm going to use this cool gray to add some little touches, some final touches to my fish. And I'm going to feather these fins as well, like I did with the other ones. I'm going to do this line for another one. And I'm going to go back in with this marker and just add some final touches. blend out that edge a little bit. And I'm gonna add, so I've got this neutral gray, and I'm just gonna add like some little dots to my fish. I want them to look like they have scales, but I don't want to draw every scale. So it's just kind of like they're twinkling a little. I'm going to darken up this eye a little bit. Harden this edge. Take a gel pen and add a couple of little details too, like a dot, a couple little shine spots. So this will kind of look like it's picking up the light a little bit. And this gel pen is like a little bit, not dry, but it's kind of getting there, but it kind of works for the fins. So I'm just going to go with it. And when I'm doing stuff like this, I always want to make sure that I'm not like doing it in a perfect pattern. I want to do like little clumps together and then far apart and then together. Like I don't want it to look like it's symmetrical. Yeah, it totally works for the fins. And then I'm gonna do another little thing at the end to help with the look of the water. And that's gonna be like my final touch. And I'm actually gonna go in with a little bit of purple right here too. Because I feel like this little fishy would have a little bit of shadow here. So now I've got my colorless blender, and what I want to do is I want to bleach out some of the color so that it looks like a swirl is going through the water. It kind of feels silly to go in and like ruin something that you've already done. You don't want it to be like a perfect symmetrical, so I'm doing two side by side. In case you notice my fluffies, I am wearing my house coat because it's cold and it's supposed to be like minus 14 or something. Just gonna do that same thing in a couple of different spots. I might make this one like kind of rounded. And I'm just doing kind of what I wanted to do before, little blotchies. Just kind of like, just ruining some of that color. And the last thing I'm going to do is just darken up a little of these edges. Not a ton. But I would like those white spots to stand out a little bit. So I'm just using that purple again. This is the eggplant purple. I love this color. I don't very often get to use it. What I'm going to do is line it. Done. Let me know what you think. We'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. Blooper. I keep putting my caps on wrong. All right, this is looking awful. That's okay. Ah, oh, this one. That's my husband sneezing. So that's going to, yeah, that's the right one.